Hi, in this video, we will learn how to create a book management system. The goal of this video is to build a simple book management system using fundamental object-oriented programming concepts. This is a beginner-friendly tutorial designed to help you understand how to create a system by analyzing the requirements, identifying objects, and applying operations to an effective solution. The series aims to help us grasp key fundamental design principles in the software development using Java. We'll start with a basic level program and gradually progress to intermediate and advanced implementation of the same book management system, incorporating more advanced book concepts. In further session, we will explore key design principles in more depth, applying them to refine and improve our system. At the end of this video, you'll have solid understanding of how to approach a problem solving using OOP principle and apply design principles effectively in software development. So with no further ado, let's go into the problem that we'll solve today. So assume that you wanted to develop a book management system. For example, one would wanted to add books and remove books and wanted to find books. So these three operations are going to be there in your book system, and you will also wanted the entity or the object to be decided, which is going to be your book. So once you have decided with your entity, let's start with the creation of the class for your book management system. So first I'm going to create a package. I'm going to name the package as book. So inside my book package, I'm creating a class called system. I have a class called book system. First, what we'll have to do is once we know what is our object that we wanted to create or manipulate, we'll have to design the template for the object that we wanted to create. So the template that we wanted to create is called as our class book. So class book is going to be our real-time entity that we wanted to have variations on, or the entity that we will wanted to apply the logic of adding or removing or finding. So here our entity is book. So in this entity, I'm going to have three more fields to it, which is going to be int ID of the book, private string title, private string. So I have three fields, each to represent an attribute of this book class. So this template book is going to carry three additional attributes, which is going to be ID, title, and author. And I'm marking them as private because I don't want this fields to be accessed directly. I'm going to encapsulate it by making them as private and create a public method to set values for these things, which is going to be public book. So our method is constructor method, which is also same as the name of your class that you're creating, which is book. And this method is going to take the three fields that we declared, which is int ID, string title, string author. Use this keyword. So this dot ID is equals to ID. This dot title equals to title. This dot author is equals to. So during the time of object initiation, the values that will be passed to the object is going to be set to this ID. So your book template is going to take the value directly during the object initiation itself because we are using constructor method. So this way we have set, we'll be setting the values. Now we'll need method to retrieve these values. So for retrieval, we'll have to create public int get ID, which should return ID. Similarly, for title and for author, I'm going to create a getter method using the generate options. Go to getter. So we have three fields, three attributes which are going to be set in the constructor and they're going to be retrieved using the getter methods. So this is how we have designed our entity. And I also told that we'll have to perform some operations such as adding these books into your library or something. So means we'll have to have a logic for handling the operations such as adding, removing, or finding them. So for that, we will need to have a data structure, and the data structure should be helpful or it has to support the additions and removal operation. So the data structure that we will be using is going to be our collections list. Let's declare another field, private list type, and this should be taking a book. Let's name it as book list equals to array list. So whenever we'll use the collections list, we'll have to import java util dot list package. So now we have the list also in this class. Let's try to define the methods for adding the book. So public right add book. This should be taking book. So book type and the value is book. And when this method is going to be called, use the list book list and call the add method that is supported by the list collection and add the book. We can also introduce some systemout.println to print what book is going to be added. So I'm using get title method, and I'm going to also add some words so that we differentiate which method is calling which attribute. So we have added add book. Next, what we'll have to do is we'll have to add delete book. Similarly, delete book is going to check whether the book is going to be present in it or not. So when you pass a book for the delete book operation, you will have to do a check whether that book is present or not in the list. So for that, you will have to use the list and check with the contains method. If that contains method is going to return true, I've used an if operation, if logic, if conditional check. So when this is going to be true, whether the list is, if the list is going to contain the book, then you perform list dot remove and the object that you have passed, which is your book. We'll use the some println statement, and that is going to print as removed from book. Like previous one, we can add book dot get title to see which book has been removed. This is for your if condition. When the book is present, it is going to be removing. And if there is no book, let's handle that case as well. We'll say that cannot delete, book is not present. So we have added our add operation, we have added delete operation. Now let's add the third operation to our system, which is going to be find book. So this method is going to be a method that will be returning me book as the value when I call this function. So for this, my input is going to be ID. So I will wanted to search the book using the method called find by ID, and the value that I should pass for it is the ID of the book. So you pass the ID of the book. What you'll have to do is you'll have to check whether that ID is going to be present in all the books that are present inside the system. So for that, what you'll need to do is use a for loop, for each loop, and check for the books. So your book type and a value for that and your book list. You'll have to search it inside your list. So put the list name, and there inside you will have to check whether the ID is going to be present. So your book is going to support get ID method because the method has been given here from the book class. So you call that method and check whether that ID is going to be equal to the ID that you're passing. And if that matches, then you return the book. Else book ID plus the ID not found. And what we'll have to do this time is we'll have to return null, because this method is looking for book object. If it is present, when the ID matches and it is present, it is going to return the book. Else we'll have to pass the null out. So we have defined our class, and we have defined our attributes, which is ID, title, author, and we have used data structure to manage the operations such as adding and deleting and finding using the list. We'll need to perform one override operation over the toString method, which is, since the class what we are using is our custom class, we'll need to override the toString method so that we will be able to understand the IDs that are returned are going to get converted into string. So we'll put it as book ID. So ID that is going to be returned when you call the book object should be an ID of string form. So you put that, then you have title, use title author. This needs to be done for this class, for your book class. So with that design, we have designed a simple system that is going to handle creation of books, then adding books, deleting them, and finding them. So now let's try to call the main method to your book system class. So your book class here is a private inner class of your book system, and let's create the book object. Book manager is equals to new book, and pass the name of the book that you wanted to create. So I'm going to create my first book, which is going to be Harry Potter. Let's put this thing as JKR. We'll name this thing as book 1. And let's add another book, which is going to be book 2, equals to new book. And this book is going to be Science of Universe. We don't know if that book is there, but let's just put Ray and Cox. So we have two books that has been created, book objects have been created. Now this book needs to be handled by the list. So I'm going to create a book. So I'm using the same book class, and I'm going to rename this as manager. And let's try to add book, and this time I'm going to pass the ID as 0 to create a dummy instance. Now using this book manager, let's try to add a book. So if you look at this design, we are using the same class, and now I'm trying to call the add method to add these two books, which is book 1. Second, add, I'm going to call the book 2. Now let's try to perform search operation. And for search operation, we will need a book variable, which is going to be found book. And for this, let's call the book manager dot find by pass 1. And now let's use systemout.println and pass the found book. We can also check for the book manager dot delete to check the delete operation, and I'm going to delete the book, which is to pass the book object, which is book2. So when you look at it, all these methods are taking book as an object. So we are using the book1 and book2 whenever it is calling for add and delete method. And if you look at it, there is an also book manager type for book, and it has been initiated with blank values or null values. And I'm using that instance to call the find by method and delete method, and for addition as well. So I'm going to run this program and let's see what happens. So we have our add operation printing. The book Harry Potter and Science of Universe has been added, and we also have the find method returning book ID, title, and the author name retrieved. Book ID is 1, title is Harry Potter, and the author JKR. And finally, we also have the detail of the book that has been removed because we passed book2 here. So with that, this brings us close to the end of the video on building a simple book management system using basic object-oriented programming concepts in Java. We started by understanding the problem, identifying key objects, and implementing basic operations like adding, searching, and deleting books. While this is a beginner-friendly approach, in future sessions, we'll explore the design principles like single responsibility principle and separation of concerns to improve our design and make our system more scalable. If you find this helpful, share and subscribe for more videos on Java and software design. And also feel free to drop your questions in the comments. I'll be happy to help. Thanks for watching. See you in the next session. Bye.